there was a deal on the table and I walked away from the deal. My friends wanted to kill me. Many people wanted to kill me because we struggled so long to get to this point. But I'm a person, I'm quite stubborn, so alhamdulillah, qadarullah, it was what's written and the best thing because Allah knows best.
But we'll get into it. So, your name, Sheikh?
Abdul Wahab. And if you say Sheikh, because I'm an old man, that's fine. If you say Sheikh of knowledge, I haven't got no knowledge. Well, I'm not saying I haven't got no knowledge. I've got a little bit, but alhamdulillah. But
not out of respect, obviously.
Yeah,
you're older
Abdul
than
Wahab.
us.
Yeah.
Okay.
Also known as UK Apache.
Okay.
And the original.
Original?
Original. Let's say
okay.
Original Nata at one time.
Okay.
Or maybe even now. Probably.
Okay. So go back for us a few years back then. Where are you from originally, born, etc.?
Bismillahi wa salatu wa salam ala rasulullah amma ba'd. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wa hlul 'uqdatan min lisani yafqahu qawli. Yeah, so I was born and raised in South London of mixed parents. My father is still alive. He's in America. He's Iraqi. And my mum, she passed away 2009. May Allah have mercy on her soul. Allahumma yarhamha. She was from South Africa.
Okay.
But they met here, and I was born in London, and then taken to Iraq.
Okay.
As a baby.
No.
Unfortunately, my mum and dad didn't stay married, so my mum left Iraq. Qadarullah, and I came back to the UK.
Do you remember aspects of Iraq, or was it too early?
Well, as a baby, I didn't, but I did return to Iraq 20 years after that.
Okay.
So for 1 month. So I wasn't raised with my father, and I looked up Islamically what an orphan is, and I fall into that category because in Islam, if I'm the Sheikh here, the Imam, correct me if I'm wrong, but if a father's not around, then you're an orphan. It's not because the father's passed away. I think that's the Western view of it.
Okay.
But the Islamic view.
When you mention South Africa, Mum, South Africa, do you mean white South African, black South African?
Oh well, yeah. My mum was originally from India, Gujarat. But my mum was born in South Africa, but originally going back generations from India. Yeah.
And both are Muslim though.
My mum and dad were Muslim. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But
there was always a perception with you. Oh, you know, Abdul Wahab is a revert.
Yes. We'll get into that. Yes, definitely. I connect a lot to the reverts, and they're kind of shocked that they thought that I'm not a revert. I was obviously from a Muslim family, but at the early ages, I wasn't practicing in the sense of like how I'm practicing now, and I think even my family, they grew in time as well, with more understanding what Islam is or taking it on board, especially my mum, because I came from a single parent family.
So when you say that though, are you saying that your father was not in your life from that baby age until?
At all. Yeah, at all, not at all. And that was just the way it was. But I did go and visit him, and I have no problems with my father in a sense, like I don't hold no animosity or nothing. You know, obviously Islamically, you know, he's my. If you listen to me and my dad speak, he's a joker. You know, you'd think everything was, you know, amazing. You know, but alhamdulillah, you know, this is what Islam teaches us, to respect our parents no matter what. And
sorry, Abdul Wahab, any siblings, or you're the only child?
For my mum never remarried again, so I'm the only child in a sense from my mum's side. But my dad, after 10 years, he remarried and had 5 children. Yeah, 5. So I got 5 siblings, but I wasn't raised with them, but I know them over the years because they're all in America now, and I've seen them over the years when I visited Iraq, and then from there they went to well, they traveled actually to get out of the country because of the problems and the war. Ended up in America.
Yeah, I was going to ask, like you said, he was in Iraq, then he ended up in, so that was due to the war that he moved to America.
Yes, I mean he didn't, and he wasn't in America first time. They went to I think it's Syria. Which I visited as well. I've been to Syria, and then from there they went to Sweden, and then ended up in America.
You're talking about the Iran-Iraq war, that war?
Yes, that war, and then obviously the war afterwards.
Okay.
So it wasn't that war that made them move, actually. It was the war, I think, you know, that came...
The Gulf War,
Americans,
the one they called the Gulf War, yeah?
Yeah, the Gulf War, yeah.
Okay.
So, because obviously Iraq's always been in problems. It's very...
And you said you came to the UK as a baby?
As a baby, yeah. I was born in the UK.
Okay.
But coming back from Iraq, because I just went to Iraq. As soon as I was born, they took me to Iraq. They actually drove to Iraq.
From here.
Yes.
Is that possible?
Yeah.
Do that, man. People do that. People drive to Turkey.
Mashallah, your family was
Albania.
like one of those.
My dad is a motor mechanic engineer,
Mm.
so he loved his cars and stuff like that. So my mum was telling me, we drove with with you, and at one stage I think there was something happening in one of the countries, and the soldiers were escorting them through and stuff like that. Yeah, so they drove to Iraq, and then like I said, my mum really couldn't take the cultural difference and things that happened, so she left, and my dad stayed there. Yeah.
So how was life like in the early years of UK now, then early 5-year-olds, 10-year-old, 15-year-old?
Yeah, I mean, at that time, there was a lot of things happening. It was difficult, like it's difficult now, but at that time, as you may know or not know, there's a lot of racism going on. I grew up when it was really tough for that time. You had groups like the National Front, and many people were racist. And it was funny because I always suffered with identity issues. I mean, I wouldn't tell people my name because it was just not a name that wasn't common.
And that was your name from young, the name that you said in the beginning?
Abdul Wahab, yeah.
That was
That's the
your
name
name?
I was given, yeah, from
Okay.
birth. Yeah. So it was something I didn't really want to speak like, because I felt isolated many times. I had friends, but they would always make you feel like you're not really one of them, So you're just like the little packy kid.
Like that.
Yeah. I went through all that and the racism. And it's funny because people just automatically expect it just to be white people, but I got racism from black people as well. Yeah, I got it from both.
That's mad.
But in life, you got good and bad in all races. I have to say that. So they were good and bad, but I did get it from both.
How can a black, I've never seen that. So how's a black person kind of racist?
Because at one time, I think what it was is that at one time there was a movement. I mean, all through my life, there's been music and stuff like that, of growing up. And I was young, we used to follow fashion and stuff. So it started off, we used to, there was programs like Top of the Pops and all that.
Yeah, I remember that, yeah.
Okay, right, cool. So, from this fashion, people used to sometimes obviously come together and...
He's got jokes. He's got jokes.
He's got a joke, yeah. Okay, cool. You can tell your joke. And so you
Mum
had...
used to listen to Top of the Pops.
Mashallah.
So before he started practicing.
Is it before?
He wants to start today, yeah?
Before he started practicing, the Michael Jackson days.
Oh, he used to do the moves as well.
No,
Mashallah. I know he's always talented, this man.
There's many talents, Akhi. Many.
Alhamdulillah. And I mean, you grow up with many different things, don't you? Allah Akbar. But so there was this, obviously there's lots of fashion and people used to come into different groups. At one stage then, I came from listening to Top of the Pops, and then from that there was like dub music, and from dub music you had mod music, and then you had rockers and all these skinheads and all this kind of thing, all these type of fashion. So I think a lot of the at one stage, I think the whites and maybe the black people used to more join together or communicate better through the music. I think at one stage the music was mixed with the white ska and the reggae and all this kind of thing. So that brought them together in a sense, even though they had their own problems between each other. As a person who's got really doesn't know his identity because I'm a single child taken away from my culture. I don't even know really much about it, and I kind of lived a secluded life. Some black people used to mix with the skinheads. Definitely.
This is revelation for me. I'm not going to lie to you. The blacks used to chill the skinheads.
Yes. And they would, I knew some of them, and they would they would be with the skinheads and many, and I've had experience of obviously even getting attacked. So you'll find some of them together. They used to meet together. And that's how that music came together as well. See, where the Asians, no one knew them at one stage. I kind of opened the door for them in a way, but like I said, you had good and bad in all races. So I got attacked by some black people, and I got attacked by white people, and this was just normal. Yeah, and they were also my friends. It was a weird way. It's a weird thing.
I'm still not fathoming it though.
When I say friends, they weren't. I wouldn't say they were genuine friends.
Of course.
But
acquaintances, people you know.
Yes,
basically.
yes. Sometimes it used to happen like that.
But remember, whenever there's a new community, then they go through that. You remember, it's like the Vietnamese community in Deptford. Early on, very few. Everybody's against them. Somalis, when they came in, it's like everybody's against them. You know, and as you kind of like the community gets larger, and then it makes things start changing.
Yes, that's
But it's like a gradual thing that you find because other communities are already settled in. The Caribbean community came, 40s, 50s from the Caribbean, Windrush generation. So they've settled in a bit more and a bit more acquainted with, the local population. So I think that's what you're kind of like referring to.
Yeah, it happened. And it was just for me as a young person, as a young boy, I just thought it was just normal to be called Paki and just to be picked on. I didn't really think this because I didn't know nothing else. I didn't know who I was. I didn't know really.
There wasn't a lot of you in the area. What area was it?
No, I was born in South London.
South London.
But where it really all happened, it started happening in Tooting.
Okay.
Yeah, now I say
Tooting now
Tooting
is obviously
correctly. But if we're going to say Tooting, but let's pronounce the T's.
Nah, but Tooting is now a strong Asian kind of community. Really.
Tooting now is totally mixed, and it's gone over the years. I've seen everything change, But what I was saying about the racism as well, going back to that really, is that I didn't just get racism because, like some black people were mixing with skinheads. I also got it from black people because I took on the Jamaican culture.
But when you say racism, because obviously how I understand racism and how many people say racism is someone that's in a stronger power that can control whether getting you a job or not just saying the word Paki or, do you get what I mean?
Yeah, it's a part. I mean, it's a big umbrella. It's a lot of things under an umbrella.
Exactly.
So some people they use obviously this word for different things. So maybe there could be a better.
You say prejudice.
Prejudice could be a better word.
Yeah.
Definitely. Thank you. Yes.
Because when you're saying racism to me, I'm thinking I've never seen black people move in that type of form.
Yes.
Being racist towards Asians, because that means a systematic. I'm not giving you a job. You're not going in my car. You're not allowed to come in the bus. Systematic.
That could have been the case.
Okay.
That could have been the case because some of these people, some of those misguided,
of course,
brothers,
ignorant.
Yeah,
But, I mean,
that's right.
On that point, I disagree with you on that.
Okay.
Not with you.
Yeah.
In the sense that, look,
As in the word racism.
When you're against somebody's race because of their ethnicity, shade, or color.
Yes.
I think whatever it might be Asians to blacks or Asians to whites or whites to blacks or blacks to white. I think it's racism.
Yeah, but what I'm trying to say to you is there's a difference between me calling you a Paki because everyone just calls each other Paki or
no, but
or
if you're
black,
looking at down
or
someone's race,
me actually just hating you because of your color and then telling you can't work with me, you can't make money with me, there's different. That's what I'm saying. That's why they say there's a difference between prejudice, when you're being prejudiced towards someone, and being racist. They're two different.
No, but look, are there people who are against another person's race? Because this is there's a woke agenda where they say, look, it can only be racism can only come from white people. No,
Yeah, exactly.
It's in all ethnicities. Certain ethnicities hate others, or some from those. That, I won't say race because look, it's a human race. Everybody's human.
Yeah.
But ethnicity. So it's not just from a position of power only from upwards to downwards. It happens between people who are equals or the same, and they do it as well.
I mean, I used to come back home as a young child from 6 years old and come in and find my front door kicked in. My windows broken sometimes, things sprayed on the door from neighbours that later on, they changed. For what reason they changed? Allahu Alam. But they changed and
But black people again.
So black people, white people.
Mad.
Yeah.
Because maybe obviously the generation I've grown, I've never seen that.
No.
Even when you talk about Somalians coming here and whatever, it was never racism. It was more, they'll use words like, the Malis or the man, they are crazy or, but it will never be, you can't chill with us. You're less than us. It wasn't that.
But look, that's your generation. You know why? Because you are second.
Yeah.
The oldest from you,
they know
Faisal, Soldier, Nas, different. They would say they weren't accepted. And they had to really kind of fight to defend themselves because there were very few.
And a lot of young people
you'll find that generation is also anti-Caribbean. They would say that. I think your one is a bit different, and the younger than you, a bit more different, and so on.
Hard to fathom it.
Yeah, I mean that time was just a battle. To be honest, it wasn't easy. And a lot of the young people today, they don't really know that because obviously they haven't seen that. They don't understand that how we, made a way for many people to be accepted, in a sense, but for me, it was weird because, like I said, I had a slight culture in my house, like a South African culture, but not a big one because I didn't have a lot of, like, we used to have some, not like, I think my family, like I said, was very secluded. It wasn't like we had a big family, but we used to get together occasionally, but I always felt outcasted because the area that we lived in at that time, Tooting was just part of my family had money, so they lived in a more higher class area, like from Harrow to Ealing. Now Tooting's become much more established, and it's it's known as because of St George Hospital and all these things that's been put in place. But back in the day, it used to be a cheap area.
Also, do you think Abdul Wahab, because dad is Iraqi, mum is South African, Indian, that mix of cultures also affects your your identity? Yeah,
most definitely. That was a complicated situation because at that time Iraqis never married no one but Iraqis, and South Africans never married no one but South Africans. So from the beginning, my mix was was different. I was a different character, Allah knows best. That was complicated for me, like I said, because when I was young I felt very isolated, very lonely, being a single child, getting these problems on the street every day. But alhamdulillah, it was Allah's test to make me who I am.
So how did you then maneuver? Because obviously the whites are racist, the blacks are, I would say, prejudice. And how did you maneuver?
Like I said, now when I say they were racist, like, so it was a weird thing that, in a sense, like, they would still let me chill with them. Some of them.
So when you see like in movies when they say I can't be racist, I got a mate called Joe Black or something. That's
so as you're young, you don't know. So say for instance, we like with my white friends, I go with them. They'll be like, yeah, he's with us, but he's like, it's Packy, but he's all right. You know what I mean?
That's what they show in the movies as well. Proper.
It's the truth.
If you watch, like,
I would sit on the end of
Factory.
They'd have their girlfriends, right, and I'd be sitting on the end, and no one wants to be with me. Like, so I'm thinking, Shaywa, I'm an ugly guy. I'm just a rejection. But this is all from Allah. Because Allah is shaping something here, and in the end, I realized all this kind of thing. But even today, I sometimes, I suffer from these things because of all this kind of being.
Was music an escape then? You getting into music, was that?
Now, my family from the South African side, my grandmother and my grandfather and my mum and my auntie, they were all involved in the struggle against the apartheid system. So my grandfather was in the ANC. For those who don't know, the African National Congress was the movement that Nelson Mandela was the head of. And my grandmother was Nelson Mandela's first secretary.
Your grandmother?
Yes. Okay. Who I met Uncle Nelson Mandela, because we had to call him Uncle. Okay. I met him in the Dorchester Hotel when he came. A great icon of our century and a great freedom fighter. So I'm raised with these type of people in my house. And music was everywhere. And the first time, I'm mixing with Jamaicans now as well. So, and I had some very good Jamaican friends, who weren't racist, but I find the Jamaicans that were from Jamaica were not racist or not had a problem with Indians, because in Jamaica, right, whatever color you are, you're just Jamaican. You could be white, you speak Jamaican. Like you see now today, you see some TikTok videos where the white Jamaicans, and people were shocked at the beginning, or an Indian speaking Jamaican. They differ. Who is this guy from? He can't be a Jamaican, because only the people, if you don't travel or you don't know, obviously the internet's got good and bad points, but it's opened the door for everybody to see the world and the different. I mean, even in Indonesia, when I was in Indonesia, I saw Black people, Indonesians. And I was shocked, to be honest, because I didn't know.
Indigenous or people who've lived there for the last 20, 30 years?
I wouldn't know, but they're known as, they're just Indonesians.
Okay.
They speak the language, they have the ID card, so, whether they were there from the beginning, Allahu Alam, but they're Indonesians.
But remember those places, Akhi, the Pacific. A lot of Indonesia, not far from Pacific Islands, which are, they're actually Africans. Black people, man.
Yeah.
They say Africans, they're...
I mean, I don't even know if I should use the word Black people, because some people may take that one, but that's the way
we... Indigenous.
But I'm just saying, so...
Don't they call them Melanesians or something? That's the term.
Okay, well, you know better than me. But so when, like I said, so the Jamaicans, the reggae music at the beginning, for me, I was very impressed by reggae music because it had like a revolutionary message.
Yeah, especially when you listen to like Bob Marley.
Exactly. So these type of things. So and so that's what kind of made me, coming from my, you know, the people I was raised with, and they fought for justice and stuff. I connected to that music as well to have like a purpose of like, this is what I wanted, I was going to do something positive through that way. And being, like I said, being a single child and being alone, I don't know. I mean, I attended school, and in primary school I was very good. But as soon as I got to secondary school, I kind of went down, you know.
What secondary school was that?
Well, the secondary school is Ernest Bevin School.
Okay.
Yeah, which is a local school.
Still around now?
Yeah, still around now, but it's changed. I think it's a college now as well, and it's I think it's mixed now. Before it was just an all boys rough school. You know, South London was rough that time, and but when I was in primary school, I was really, you know, innocent and very good. And the one thing I remember is having a test of numbers when I was in primary school. That the teacher gave me a test of how many numbers can you memorize. And you know, when you're growing up, you don't know the gifts that Allah's given you. So I realized later on that I had a good gift of memorization, because He kept on giving me numbers and I memorized them in the order. So it was one thing that I remembered, and that kind of stuck with me in regards to writing lyrics. And I never used to write lyrics, actually. I used to memorize them and make songs in my head. So when I was coming to the music thing, so when I used to listen to the reggae music, I said to myself, you know, this music is a music of something where it talks for the people. You know, it's like it's the voice for the voiceless. You know.
What was your age at that time? You're looking, what, 40?
So now I'm that kind of age. You know, coming to like 12, 13. You know, that type of age.
Okay.
And
did you start recording at that age, or did you start?
No, I was just thinking. I didn't actually tell anybody I wanted to, you know, be successful at it or anything. But I just had this kind of vision in my own mind. I didn't know if I was any good. But moving around Jamaicans, then from that time there was a sound system culture, which is like a big, you could say, I don't know, you know, a big PA system. I don't know if you know about them things. Maybe not. I don't know. But the Jamaicans.
We went through this though when we had what's the brother from Brixton? The Saxons and the
okay. So we grew up listening to those kind of things, and
we went through that. Remember last?
You go to sound system. So I built my own sound, and I used to.
What is the difference? I don't know if you can answer, because I don't think the brother answered it. What was the difference between, was it the Saxons and the Coxons?
Well, so obviously, every area had a sound system, and they used to have battles and all that kind of thing. You know, like
when we say a sound system, are you just talking about like?
So you got
a particular kind of rhythm, or are you talking about
no?
Systems?
It's the PA, the PA system. So you'll have these massive speakers. I mean, it's like a job. Everybody in the sound system has a job. So you've got a guy who selects the records. You've got the people who pick up the speaker box. They have a big, massive van. They travel from place to place, and they challenge each other.
Okay.
With the selection, and also the guys on the mic. They'll play the A side. The A side used to have the lyrics on, the vocals. The B side would have the version, and they'll just do something live, you know, and the crowd, if they liked it. And if eventually you get known, and that's how I used to do my thing to get known. It's not like obviously today we have internet and all that. Today's easier.
Each area would have a following as well.
Yes.
Each area would have their own big sound system.
Yeah.
Whenever they go to another place and challenge another sound system.
Yeah.
Lushab had, I think, was it Ghetto Tone or Ghetto something?
Because Imam was the selector.
Thank you. This is it. I need to invite you on more, Chef. You know him behind the scenes.
It was similar to grime, and you know how grime is, you have different crews.
No.
Yeah.
It's like that.
Yeah.
Okay. That's where grime comes from.
Come from that.
Come from what he's talking
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, this is the foundation of where all the urban music came from, really, and even jungle and that kind of thing.
You could even push it and say gangs. Because if you're saying
they used to have wars,
we used to go from area to battle each other.
But the difference,
the fact that he said ghetto, because obviously I'm from these areas, and the boys called themselves many years later ghetto boys.
Yeah,
that was one of the groups that came out of that.
To be honest, I wouldn't. I mean, you could say in the sense of the word gang that it was a group of people, Jama'ah.
Yeah, exactly.
But I wouldn't say it's a gang, because the gangs of today have a different And these people are just totally really about music. They'll go and challenge each other musically and stuff. And if they got, if it got out of hand, then there could be a bit of scuffles. But otherwise, it would just be a test with the sound systems. Gangs have a different agenda.
They would cuss though. They would cuss.
But this is my point. Look, football was like that.
Yeah.
You're tribalistically inclined to your team. So you might be liking your team so much that if someone else says something wrong and you just lost, you end up in a fight. Does that make sense what I'm saying now?
Yeah, it can be.
It could be that it started. This is all hypothetical.
Yeah.
It could be, I'm just saying, if we're going so far back that music was the beginning, just from area to area battling. And then, of course, this is my group, we're better than you. And then slowly, it comes into what we understand today.
It had more intelligence because you have lyrics, you have words, and that's not just simple to do.
And like you said, live, Akhi.
It's live. It's not.
Live.
It's not like going on. This is real. For me, it was even harder because you have to. This is where things. Because I'm coming as an Asian guy on the mic, and at that time it wasn't like now. You find sound systems have come back over the years, and you find mostly white people going to. It's done all over the world, like in Japan, Germany, all these things. And back in the day, it wasn't. It was just black people, like Jamaican hardcore Rasta man, and me now coming on the mic. They were thinking, who's this Paki boy? It's an Indian boy.
But wouldn't you have gotten away with it? Because obviously we also know that Jamaicans have a lot of coolie people.
No, because they could tell who's Jamaican, who's not Jamaican.
Okay.
Even though I pulled it off very well, because the way I used to love Jamaicans. I always say this. I used to walk like a Jamaican, talk like a Jamaican, dress like a Jamaican, but I wasn't Jamaican. I was a Jafaican. But I was in love with that culture, really, to a point, and I just took it on as it was my own, and I fooled a lot of people, but my style still had a bit of that English flow in it. Like, you could tell, it's like, so they could tell. But the thing is, when I delivered, they had to respect me because I was, alhamdulillah, I was good at it. I
talented.
Yes, that's what people said.
So how do you, obviously we've skipped a lot of things, so how do you...
But if they didn't like you those days, it wasn't like X Factor where they push the button, they just throw a brick in your head. 100%.
Come off the stage, brick, shoot you. That was a real deal. And it was real performance. Alhamdulillah, that helped me in so many different ways, even with the Quran that I do now, of recitation, and I haven't got that problem of being where you do get a bit nervous and sometimes as you build, but that's forward and we can talk about it. Yeah. So we skipped a bit. How did you get into becoming a musician? Obviously, we just
through the sound system way.
I used to travel and just listen to it.
Travel from place to place, party to party, event to event to get my name, and then I knew I had to record some tracks. So the first track I recorded was called No Poll Tax. Yeah, was against the poll tax, against Maggie Thatcher, because I'm an entertainer of issues. I'm not just going to talk. There's different types of music, obviously, that makes hits. There's love songs, there's dance songs about a new dance, and there's message songs. And obviously, for me, my first song was about no poll tax, which was telling people don't pay the poll tax, and which was a big issue that time. Many riots, many things like that, and it got banned straight away.
Okay.
But that's the artist I was.
But how does it get banned? Because obviously at that time there was no TV.
Yeah, on the radio.
On the radios, they weren't allowing it.
They wouldn't play that. No, they wouldn't play that. And it's funny because my grandfather, he just before he passed away, he knew that I was coming with this song. He said no one would play it. But the sound system started to play it. So there was a sound called Lord Gelly sound. It was a big sound, and they played it in Carnival. And Carnival for me as well, I used to go Carnival every year because that was the place you're going to get recognised. There's enough people there. So that year, I found that they played the track and they contacted me.
How old was you then?
I think I was must have been about 16, 17.
It was young.
I was young. Yeah, I was young. And or maybe a bit older. I don't know. So after that track, I didn't actually perform that track in Carnival. I can't remember if I did now. I done another track. I done this one because there was a new dance coming out called Bogle. It just came from Jamaica. So I had a version of it myself, and I'd done this track called.
Our guy's enjoying himself with all of the stuff you're telling him today.
Well, it's just the truth, you know. This is the road.
The
I
whole
remember
music.
everything, yeah.
You remember everything? Okay, subhanAllah. So yeah, so I'd done this track Bogle, and it got a bit of love, and then I performed it in Carnival, and they just went crazy. So now I'm making
message. Was there a message in that, or that was just not a dance one?
It was just a dance track, yeah, about Bogle. And Bogle was a mad dance. Everybody was doing it, you know. It was just a phenomenon. Like how you have a dance on TikTok now, you know. It was just a dance, you know. And my track was getting a lot of attention. Apart from the biggest Bogle track was from an artist called Buju Banton, who's a well-known reggae artist. I'm sure the brother knows him. And yeah, so that kind of started making ripples of me. But still, I don't know what's happening because it hasn't become like a major hit.
Was there anyone, like, let's say, guiding, supporting, managing?
Yeah, I mean, I had at that time my close friend, which is his name's Rodney, but he became Muslim. Alhamdulillah, his name Musa now. He was, you know, around me, and I had a sound, my own sound called Fantasy Sound. So there was about 5 of us, which was Musa, a guy called Juxi, Jabba, Dawood, which is he became Muslim, alhamdulillah, and a few others. So we had a sound system. But I mean, for support wise, it was just the brother, the brother Musa. I didn't have a proper manager yet.
Was Musa older or something? Because at 16, 17, you need someone a bit more.
Yeah, he was older than me, slightly older than me, but he was more wiser as well. And yeah, because that industry as it is now, it's it's a real. You have to know the business, otherwise you could. I mean, that time you could really get ripped off, and I learned that later on. But I still didn't. I still thought, well, this was my dream, of to establish, not to be famous or anything, but to have a message out there. This was like to have a platform to talk something positive. And I didn't know where I was at that time still. So I was just kind of going with the flow.
Okay. So
yeah.
There was no like end goal or money making from it coming as well? Not yet.
Because I didn't have the deal. I was going to like record shops and giving them my tapes and stuff like that. But
when we say tapes now, we're talking about
cassettes. Yeah, from that time. Yeah, cassettes, because we're going back to cassettes and stuff like that. And obviously records. So it's a long time back. But yeah.
So when did you kind of like make it big and start making money? How long after?
So then I got introduced to jungle music. And the funny thing about jungle music, it was at that time, I know I was infatuated by reggae, but I didn't really connect really to any urban British music. There wasn't, for me, really any direct urban British music, because reggae came from Jamaica, hip hop came from America. So we thought, like, what have we got? But when jungle came, it was like, this is British. I was like, wow, we got our own music, And I got introduced through a manager that time who came looking for me, which is named Sam Carroll. And he wanted me to do a collaboration with a guy called Mushtaq, who was an up-and-coming artist of his, and I did. And then he introduced me to a guy called Potential Bad Boy, who was in the jungle scene. And I done a track with them, because they were usually sampling people. They were sampling artists from Jamaica and then putting them on the jungle beat, which was like, jungle beat had like a reggae bass line. It had all different type of styles, but it was connected like to techno and dance music more. So you got all this music is fused into one type of song. So it's like new, and it was getting bigger and bigger in the underground. But what they didn't want to do was sample anybody no more. They wanted live.
They wanted to live
artists. Okay. Yes. So me coming in with my vocals, I threw a vocal down called Every Man Has a Right. And it was like the first kind of jungle tune I did with the guy called Potential Bad Boy. And I performed it in a place called The Rocket in Holloway Road. Or whatever. At that time, Kiss FM was on that road as well.
Okay.
Yeah, back in the day. Okay. And it was okay. It went down all right. But this was my introduction into jungle.
And that became like the next move, really, isn't it? The whole jungle.
That became the next move, because I didn't know. I mean, obviously, the anthem came next, but I didn't know that was coming. For me, I wrote songs long time ago. I have a lot of songs in my head from the past. and I would just wait for a rhythm to put them on. You know, I wouldn't need to hear a rhythm and then write. I've already got songs in my head, but I'm just gonna find the right beat
to go with it.
Yeah. So after that, my manager came with a song called Gangster Kid, and he played me this song. And I thought, okay, this song's all right. It had, and that time, like I said, they had just little vocals. They didn't have full songs in Jungle. It was just a little bit of vocal and then mostly music. And that's how they liked it. And they had MCs would, you know, rap over the live and all that kind of thing. So when I heard this song, this track, in between the gaps, I started singing Original Nutter, you know? And I remember I said to my manager at that time, I said to him, it'd be nice if we can meet these people who, he goes, it's funny, we got a meeting with them. It was like it was just meant to be. We got a meeting with them. I goes, okay then. So I met them, and this was the guy who produced this track was Shy FX, you know, who's still big in the business and all that stuff like that. But we had this meeting with his label and my manager at that time, because my manager at that time was acting as a label as well. He was everything all in one, which wasn't the best thing for me, but that's what people used to do and things like that. So we had this meeting, and they were saying, oh, you know, we want you to do something new and stuff. And I said, yeah, I'll do something new, but I want to do something over this Gangster Kid track that's already come out. Yeah. And I'm like, yeah, but they didn't know what I wanted to do. So they booked the studio one day, and I went down there, and in just 2 takes, because I was quite good at recording, because I didn't need to write down my songs. I've memorized them. So I could just, you know, today you find artists, they go to the radio station and they want a podcast, and they're holding up the phone to read the lyrics.
Yeah.
I didn't do that.
Memorized those days.
I just memorized, yeah. And that was my skill, like, of doing it. And it made me perform it better. Because once you memorize anything, as you know, the Quran, you know, coming back to the Quran, you memorize Quran. It's the best way to have the Quran, you know?
Of course, you're not going to just walk around with a book and...
Yeah, you have it in your heart, you have it in your mind, and it's you can deliver it better. Yeah. So with my lyrics, I've done that as well, you know? And in 2 takes, I delivered Original Nutter, you know, and left the studio. The studio was booked for the whole day, and I left. And when the phone was ringing off, my ex-manager was ringing, he was like, oh, and I thought he was angry with me. So I'm saying, I'm sorry. He goes, no, what have you done in the studio? I said, what do you mean, what have I done? I don't know. Because I recorded many songs and they just didn't do nothing. You know, they just sat there in the studio, didn't do nothing, or just went to a certain level. But this one, as we know, yeah, from it was recorded, that weekend was a big, massive jungle rave. They pressed it very quickly. I saw things that took me a long time to get done was just getting done quickly now, all of a sudden. You know, this was getting from Shy FX's label. They were like, yeah, we're going to press this. They had all the links, because Shy FX was already established in the jungle scene. The jungle scene had its own movement as well. They controlled it, you know, and it was growing big. And they fed this track to all the biggest DJs. And I remember that night, I didn't go to the rave. And Shy was too young to go to the rave. He couldn't go to the rave. He was a young guy. He was younger than me. I was 26.
Okay.
He was, I can't remember he was like 18 or something like that, or 17. He couldn't go to the rave. He wasn't allowed.
Okay.
But the response afterwards is that people just went mad for this track. And then after that, it just blew up. And that's when I realized now something's happened that's different. You know, I'm getting interviews on radio, on Kiss FM. I'm getting magazines coming to talk to me. Things are moving now, and this tune, and I didn't know how big this tune was until one time I was on the way to the studio, and because the studio was based in Victoria. So I'm on this train, and I was a bit of a young guy, you know, like you say. So there was a young girl, there was a girl on this, and I, you know, at that time I was a bit of a player guy. So I'm talking to this girl, and she's like talking to me. I goes, where you go? She goes, go in college. I goes, okay. She goes, what do you do? I said, I'm just a singer. Like, and she goes, okay, you got a mute. I go, yeah, I got this latest track. I didn't know much about how big this track. So I came out of the tube station. I'm walking, it's the rush hour of Victoria, and these schoolgirls come up, and they just start screaming. It's UK. I'm like. For me, this was like shock, because I don't know this is happening because there's a thing called the box.
Okay.
So it's getting played on the box, but I haven't got the box myself. You see so I don't know how big this song's growing. Yeah. And she's like, oh, I'm really sorry. I'm going, okay, that's okay. I didn't even know. And I'm running down the road and these girls are running after me. Like, and I'm thinking to myself, now it's really bad. And I've run into the studio and I'm pushing the door and they're trying to come in.
Okay.
So I'm thinking, wow,
proper.
Yeah. And the thing, it doesn't, you don't know it until it actually happens. It's like, you're just doing your own thing. Yeah. So now this tune has blown up and now I realize I've got a big hit. But then with hits, as you know, and many other things happen.
Of course.
And it all went sour at the beginning. Yeah, it all went sour.
In what way? In what way would you mean sour? In what way?
Well, as this tune is blowing up, I'm performing everywhere. But I mean, I made peace with the people that I had issues with because I realized that my business wasn't really getting taken care of properly.
Okay.
And I didn't have time to take care of my business because I thought at that time my manager was meant to take care of my business. But there was all these, and you know, you got so many different people with different agendas, especially when you have a hit.
Mm-hmm.
Jungle was getting more violent. Yeah, it was becoming, Jungle was like the grime. You know, at one stage it was getting violent. People were getting stabbed in the raves, and Jungle was like, you know, it was growing and growing. Now this tune has gone from the underground, it's gone commercial. And there's only a few Jungle tunes that went commercial. Like you had General Levy's Incredible, My One, Original Nutter. There was another one, M Beat, and there was another M Beat tune, like a soulify tune. And the raves are massive now. Like they're like 20,000 people, you know. So the record labels now are saying, well, because at the beginning, when we went to the record labels with this track, they didn't want to know. They're like, what's this? But now they know, they can see how, you know, how it is once you can make money.
I'm on your side.
Yeah. But that time, my manager, I had problems with him and stuff. So there was a deal on the table and I walked away from the deal. My friends wanted to kill me. Many people wanted to kill me because we struggled so long to get to this point. But I'm a person, I'm quite stubborn. So alhamdulillah, qadarullah, it was what's written and the best thing because Allah knows best. The deal that I dreamt for having, that they're going to release my album now, because I had an album coming called The Voice of the UK. I had it all. I was like, they had a magazine that time called Smash Hits. I don't even know about it. It was like the girly magazine. Yeah, you're the and I had the center page all ready for me. And I walked away from everything. I just said, no, I'm not signing the deal.
What was the reason for not signing them?
Because money was taken behind my back.
By?
I mean, you know, it's even in dispute to today. Original Nutter, after, because next year is 30 years of Original Nutter, and Original Nutter has never stopped playing. It's still a massive tune now to today, and it's never been sorted. It was frozen. The money was taken. I don't want to say who. I don't know, because I've kind of made peace, and it's all this debate, and you know, and I've tried to just put that behind me. Because I mean, at that time, that was my dream. I walked away and it affected me. But I said, and it's funny because Shai reminded me, he said to me, you said something that I really respected you for. And I said, what did I say? Because I couldn't remember. He said that you said, you know, that if it's meant to come back, you know, it will come back. And that's it. It was meant. And I walked away from the money. And at that time, the deal I was getting, it was like, you know, it was a decent deal, like £40,000 for the first album, 60, £80,000. At that time, it was a lot of money. But I left it, and I never released the album. Shai, he had his album already, so the deal between me and him, he could put it on his album as well. So he carried on and put it on his album, and he got the recognition for the tune. When, to be all honest, the whole tune was really my idea. Everything about it, to put it on that rhythm, the song, I wrote it, the song was about me and many things. And then I walked away, and then that's when Islam came into my life.
That's what I was about to say. So when you walked away, was it a conscious Dini aspect or Islamic aspect, or was it more the business side of things? It wasn't for you, like how?
Yeah, it wasn't Dini yet. It was Deen that helped me through it. You know, it was the Deen that, the light, and that's what I'm saying. Qadr of Allah. Allah has the plans for you. You know, you have plans. Obviously, everybody has plans. As humans, we try to make plans, but Allah is the one that has the plans. And so that time when I did walk away, I was in a very kind of like low place. And I didn't at that time as well. I mean, when I was young, I smoked a little bit, but I wasn't a smoker. Alhamdulillah, because the company that I kept was a guy like his brother Musa, who was very very good in so many different ways. Like he had very good manners. He was great at school, you know, and he was my best friend, and he was a Jamaican, obviously, because and we met from an early age in the first year of secondary school, and we've been friends ever since up until today, you know. And he's my brother in Islam, alhamdulillah, and you know, he. So I was in a low place, and I was searching at that time. Like, you know, what do I want to do now? What? So I turned to, alhamdulillah, I didn't turn to drugs because I wasn't into, I didn't take no drugs, you know, I didn't drink. In fact, the promoters was very happy with me because when they used to ask me what I want, you know, in my changing rooms or whatever, do you want champagne? Do you want this? I said, no, I just want fruit juice. And I said, wow, you're amazing. You don't want any drugs? No. Because the rave scene, all that was obviously full of drugs.
Yeah, it was a drug scene, isn't it?
It's a drug scene, but I didn't smoke. People were shocked. They used to offer me, do you want this? Do you want E's? Do you want Coke? Do you want... No thanks. You know, I done that when I was 15, 16, alhamdulillah, and I gave it, you know, not that, I mean, just smoke weed because of reggae music, connect to weed. It's all something that connects in a way that you don't really do it because you think that's what you need to do when you find artists who do it. So you're young, you know, that's what I done. But so then I found Islam. Alhamdulillah, I found Islam. And I mean, Islam was in my life, but not, that's when the journey really kind of began. As a young person, you know, we used to pray once in Eid. When I was really young, I'd pray the Eid prayer.
Wow.
You know, and I think if I don't pray the Eid prayer, my whole year is going to be ruined.
That was the rule you had in your head?
Yeah. I didn't know. My mum tried to teach, but I was a bit, you know, I was young. I was like I said, and it's not like what you have now, a big Islamic movement. There was no Muslims around that time. Not that we knew of, you know. There was not a big Islamic movement. There was not like I mean, the youth today, they don't really know how lucky they've got it. That time was tough. Even the massages, I don't think there was many. There was not many even halal shops. You know, there's not meat shops. There was not, you know, we went through the time of seeing really like what you can't even imagine of practicing Islam. So obviously I'm learning as I'm going, but when that, I think in a lot of people's life, when something happens, then it, you know, it wakes you up a bit, like death, or if something happens of death, or something, you know, somebody dies in your life or something. Yeah. And
you question yourself, you question the reason for living, all of these kind of things maybe. And then maybe that's what you're saying, maybe you start thinking about Islam.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I always was the person of God. In my songs, I always mentioned, because remember my songs were about messages. Even when they asked me what is an original nut, I actually explained, to me, original nut can be a bad man, but for me, it's a person who achieves their goals. A person, and even in the video, if you see the original video, because it's been remixes now and all that time, but I had pictures of Nelson Mandela, my grandfather, Gandhi, people who done things in life. You know, of humanity, you know, who struggle for the good. Sure. So I always had that thing of me that music is a message for me, and I always believed in God. But I didn't start studying the deen until that actually happened. Then
I was 26.
1994. How old I was?
That was, yeah, you said
I was about 26, 27, yeah. And it was the year of 1994, because that's when Nutter got released, 1994. Yeah. And so I turned to Islam, grew my beard, and I said, I don't want to do this type of music no more. I still want to do music, but I want to do Islamic-based music or more godly music. So the label and all that, they said I've gone mad. Because some of my friends were like, are you crazy? Like, what are you doing? I mean, it was written for me to do that. I wouldn't say business minded was the best thing to do, but alhamdulillah, you know, it was the best thing to do, that Allah, you know, that whatever Allah writes is the best thing, you know. But and I walked away from the deal.
Okay.
You know, when you say studying the deen, was it like studying in the sense that you went abroad to study? Was it in a mosque you were studying? Was it just self-study? What do you mean?
Okay, so what happened as well, right? The one time I was at home and the door was knocked. So my mum said that it was tablighi's at the door. And I'm like, I'm not going to answer the door. I don't want to. My mum's like, go and answer the door. I'm like, to have to answer the door. So I've gone downstairs, not in a bad way, but I just didn't want to go and ask because I know maybe they're gonna. So I opened the door and they said, "Assalamu alaikum, brother." I said, "Wa alaikum salam." You know, they said, "What's your name?" So I said, "My name's Abdul Wahab." They go, "MashaAllah. Where you been? Where are you?" I said, "I'm here." They said, "No, we don't see you at the masjid." I said, "The masjid?" He said, "Yes." I goes, "Yeah, okay. He goes, "You need to come to the masjid." And I goes, "Yeah, inshallah I will." Yeah, he goes, "When?" He goes, "Now." I goes, "Now?" So I was with the brother Dawood as well. And my mum's like, go. And I'm like, "Mum." He goes, "Go." And I goes, "Oh." So I went with these brothers. And you know, alhamdulillah, it was like, okay, I've been taken to the masjid now. And they said, "You brother, you need to come for 3 days." 3 days. I said, "What's 3 days?" So I said, "Okay." I'm not a tablighi, but I've got nothing against them. You know, I'm just saying. And so we went for this 3 days. And then the next after the brother's like, "You need to come for 40 days. I said, "Oh, bro, it's okay, bro." 3 days. 3 days is
So
good.
from 3 days to 40 days. Or within like consecutively?
Yeah, well, you know how they are. They do want you to move forward, you know, like it says. So, alhamdulillah. So that 3 days, and it was an eye opener, and that kind of started my journey.
So how, obviously, for
So now I'm going to the
what
masjid.
happens in those 3 days? What are you doing?
So, well, basically, more happened in the masjid. So I'm in the masjid, and they're saying to me, "You were a singer before?" I goes, "Yeah." She goes, "Can you do some singing?" I goes, What now? In the masjid? She goes, "Yeah, yes, okay." So I had this song like, "Assalamu alaikum and wa alaikum salam." And they're like, "MashaAllah, bro." And they loved it. And I said, You do adhan? I said, "Yeah." I said, "Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar." They said, "Akhi, you mu'adhin." I said, "Okay." I became mu'adhin of the masjid. From then. So I now am the mu'adhin in the masjid, yeah, for Jum'ah, and I became the mu'adhin. So, but the thing is, I've said this before, the thing is what, I still didn't give up music yet, yeah? Okay. So in the daytime, I was like, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, and in the nighttime, Nanini was. So I'm living this life, which is true, you know.
Like a double life.
Well, you know, Akhi, I tell you, I don't think nobody doesn't live a double life in a sense. You know, we all have a double life, but it depends what it is, you know. We're all trying to better ourselves, you know. So, and this is the reality of it, you know. So this is like the journey. And then there was a sheikh called Imam Malik. May Allah have mercy on him. He's an amazing man. He's still alive. And he had a class going on in a local masjid in Balham. Because this is the masjid I was in, is in Tooting. His class was in Balham. So I would attend that as well and start my journey in studying a little bit. And that was also my mum. I said to my mum, you know, we should go Hajj. You know, I felt I wanted to go Hajj. And I said, yes. So on that, in 1995, on the day that I was born, I got the tickets to go Hajj.
Inshallah.
Yeah, and me and my mum went to Hajj. And it was a mad test as well. My life's been full of, like everybody's life, there's so many different tests. So this dunya is just imtihan, in it. Ikhtibarat and imtihanat, tests and exams. And there was a fire.
In your house?
In the Hajj. When me and my mum went to Hajj. Yeah, on that journey, there was a fire in the camp, one of the camp. I think it was one of the first fires. And I lost my mum for 3 days. And I thought she died. Yeah. Can you imagine? I'm like 28. I've just walked away from music. I'm going to Hajj, and now I can't find my mother. And there's a fire because what happened? The men and the women obviously went together, but we put the women with the bags on the car in one of these trucks so they could take the stuff to the campsite, where the canisters are and all that. The first part of Hajj, is it Mina? Is it Mina? Yeah. So the fire started, so we all had to run. So we've gone back to the hotel, and now we don't know where the women are. And I can't find my mum. So I'm straight away saying I need to go back. But people say, no, Abdul, stay. You know, just stay and do the Hajj. So I'm thinking, okay, I stayed to the Hajj. So the next step is to go from there to Arafah. Yeah. So they gave me a speaker thing to call, and I'm calling my mum on the speaker, trying to find my mum, thinking, man, my mum's dead, you know, or something, because people died. Yeah. And funny, I come across a group of people, because you know you have different people from different parts of the world, and they all kind of dress the same. And they said, "Come sit with us," and they were Iraqis. So Allah was great, you know. So I sat with them, you know. Went from there in the night to Jamra to get the stones. I can't remember that, but Muzdalifah, barakallahu fik. And in Muzdalifah, and I, you know, so I'm doing all this without my mum. And I've gone back to the hotel and I've sat there and I'm thinking, but people are coming in slowly, you know, thinking, oh, yeah, Rab, you know, everything belongs to you. Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. And then after, my mum walks in with 2 workers. I think it's a Pakistani man and someone, I don't know who they were. And I couldn't believe it. And I ran to her and, you know, I was crying and everything. I said, Mum, and she goes, yeah, we got taken away. But these 2 men looked after me like I'm their mother. I tried to give them money. They wouldn't take it. They wouldn't take it. So after that, I pushed my mum around the Kaaba and we done what we could do. You know?
So your mum was an elderly age at that time?
Yeah, she was elderly, but she wasn't old, but she was elderly. But she suffered from diabetes all her life.
Okay.
My mum died of cancer in the stomach. Yeah, she suffered from diabetes, and one day she had to have a stent put in, and then they found the cancer of the pancreas. And I remember when they told, I was there in the room, and they said that, you know, we can't, you know, you probably only have 3 months to live, but she had 1 year, and she lived for 1 year, alhamdulillah, and I looked after her for that 1 year as a carer and stuff, and was with her, and I was there when she died. She hugged me before she died.
Ya Allah mercy on her. Keep in mind, you know, the Prophet said, the shuhada, martyrs are 5. One is those who die from a stomach illness.
Yeah.
So inshallah, you know.
And that was a funny thing, because that time I was still kind of doing music, but I was saying to Allah, I need to leave the music. You know, I need to leave those environments. You know, it's not about the actual songs I was doing, because a lot of songs I had good with. It's obviously the environments and stuff like, and what goes around it. And it's like, when that happened, I straight away left the music and said, Mum, I'm going to be, you know, looking after you. She goes, yeah, you can be a carer, you know, because I said, okay, I'm going to do that. And I looked after her. But I knew there was a bigger test coming, because my grandmother, I lived with my grandmother, my grandfather, and my mother. My grandfather already passed away. So it was just now my grandmother and my mother. I wasn't living with them at that time. I moved out. But I was always, every day visiting the house and being, you know. So I moved back into the house looking after my mum. And when my mum passed away, my grandma was left. Then I looked after my grandmother as a carer for 12 years by myself.
That was your mum's mum?
Yes.
So she outlived your mum by 12
years.
Yes.
She died just recently in 2021.
What about granddad?
Granddad died way before.
Before mum, yeah?
Yeah, he was the first one to pass away.
Okay.
And I looked after my grandmother by myself, which is a whole conversation, a whole story. I mean, I wouldn't wish that on nobody, to be honest, but that was very difficult.
I can imagine. Of
course. Yeah, it was a big test. And it's funny, when I was looking after my mum, I knew what's coming next. I knew this is the preparation for the because my grandma was a different person to my mum. My mum helped me look after her. My grandmother was very strong-minded, very, you know, don't trust no one. She had dementia eventually. She went mad. Police had to come to, there was so much things. Looking after her, I washed her, cleaned her. I done everything for her by myself, because no one really helped me. Everybody they just kind of like, you know, people just disappeared.
Even her like sons or daughters?
She only had two daughters, which one was my mum and one was my other auntie. But my other auntie, she was in Canada. So it was really left on to me.
Sure.
Yeah, and I'd done it. And it was very difficult. But subhanAllah.
It has to be done, innit? And I think, again, a lot of people go for the old people's home.
Yeah, no.
A lot of people go for that. And obviously, the more our person...
I got told to put my grandmother in, and I said, no, I'm not going to do it.
Yeah.
Though occasionally when I had to take respite, she had to go there for, like, you know, because I had to take respite. And she ended up actually dying in the care home through the respite, because what happened, she had an accident one time. And that time I was really making dua to Allah, like, help me. Because I was going through so much pressure. I was literally crying, like, I need help. Because no one will help me. And they would say, what can help you? Carers. I said, carers can't help me. Because then if I'm in the same house with my grandma when the carers come, I can't rest. You know, she has to be taken away for me to actually rest. Because my grandmother, it was like, she would get up through the night 50 times just to go toilet. She couldn't wash her hands properly. So all that would be around the house, you know, the thing. It was a nightmare. She would walk on the street and end up places where I don't even know where she was, because I had to get the shopping, and come back and the door would be left open because she'd got dementia. So she didn't know what she was doing. And that time I was learning about dementia. I didn't know about dementia. You know, being a carer is not easy. And people say to me, you know, and even in the care, so in the care, we've got like 5 people doing the rotation. I'm doing it 24 hours. I couldn't sleep because she'd be up in the night. In the day, I couldn't sleep because I had to go and get the stuff, you know, make sure she gets her medicine, make sure. It was a full-time job. Allah, I don't even know how I got through that. But one time she ended up in the hospital. And from the hospital, they just wanted to kick her out quickly. But I said no. So they said, okay, we'll put her in the care home just for 3 weeks or so. I said, fine. But then the lockdown came.
Oh, just like 2020.
Yeah, then that happened. All that happened. And I thought the best place for her to be is there because they can get the stuff. Because I didn't, this was new. Like, you know, people rushing the stores. You don't know if you're going to get any, the food. You know, people were going crazy at that time. And they were overbuying stuff. So I said, they would give the care home the first attention. So I said, right, she could stay for a bit. And then then they wouldn't allow, I used to visit her every day there. And then they wouldn't allow me to come there because they wouldn't allow people to come to the care home. But it was written that she stayed there for the 1 year and died there. And alhamdulillah, I managed to be there as well in front of her when she died at that precise time. Because I said to the care home, I need to come in now, day and night. Because that they lifted up that people could visit now. But I said, I need to come in because they said, now she's not eating no more. She's not. So I said, I need to come in day and night. And I went there for those 5 days or 3 days. And I said to Allah, please don't make her die alone. And the one evening I went there, just like my mum, my mum died in front of me in the hospital as well. The one evening I went there, she died in front of me. And I kissed her and made dua for her. And may Allah have mercy on her as well.
May Allah bless you for doing that. It's not an easy task, man.
No, I to be honest, I've always said I could just write a book or do even a film called The Carer. What I've been through is first-hand experience of madness.
It needs a team.
Yes, it needs a team. No doubt. It's not one person because so many things happened. Like, you know, even she'd fall on the stairs sometimes. I tried to pick her up. And my grandmother lost a lot of weight. She was skinny. Yeah, but the weight of her was unbelievable.
Crazy.
Yeah, I didn't even know how she had that weight. When she looked so fragile, but she was very heavy. Many times I had to pick up, you know, to carry her to the bed. There was a lot of stuff.
I mean, easy for us to say about in terms of, you know, what the rewards. Yeah.
Allahu alam. Yeah. I mean, there was mistakes made. I lost my temper. There was mistakes made, and I do regret myself with those things. But people have always said to me, you know, you were tired. But I do feel sad about those things that I wish I'd done better. Yeah. But like I said, I wouldn't really wish that on nobody. It was too hard. Too hard. Police were knocking on my door many times because, like I said, she would be lost, end up in the hospital, and I'll have to stay in the hospital from the night. My family would just visit, but I'd be the end have to stay with her.
Yeah, it's definitely a team effort. It's not a one-man job or anything to do with caring for elders, you know, and it's a cycle. They looked after us when we was young and babies, and vice versa. We should give them the same due and care and attention that they gave to us when we was young and didn't understand about rights and wrongs and limits. Because, you know, you've had kids, mashallah.
Yeah.
You know how easy it is for them to get on your nerves and from a very young age. And the same patience you show them, they have to show that back when you get to an age of senile and you understand that.
Yeah, because she went senile and all this. Yeah, definitely. And many things she used to scream outside the window thinking there was somebody in my car and all this kind of thing. And many things would happen. But alhamdulillah, Allah says, was it La yukallifullahu nafsan illa wusaha? So he doesn't put a burden on a soul that you can't handle. Allahu Akbar. All the answers in the Quran, isn't it? Allahu Akbar.
So in that then, obviously you've left the music scene, you started practicing.
Yeah.
What's the update now? You've traveled a few places now as well, so you don't do music fully no more, you just do other stuff? Or?
Well, I wouldn't say, I mean, look, there's been periods. When my nan situation got really bad, I was trying to find a way because the council wouldn't help you enough. You know, they would just their idea of helping you on my situation was just giving me like 6 weeks respite of the whole year, and you know that's 1 month and 1 week. You know, so I said this is impossible. I can't do it. You know, so I went to some brothers and who I knew was kind of financially, because the only help I could do is put her in the care home for that 1 week or something to get rest. And the care home is like £1,000 for a week and more. Yeah, it's a ridiculous amount of money. So it kind of forced me at one stage, this is like 5 years back, to kind of go back, because I said to myself, what can I do to get this money? You know, I was trying to have tawakkul, but I said, if I don't do this, you know, something bad's going to happen. You know, I'm getting tired. You know, I don't want to lose my temper. I don't want to lose, you know, I need help with my nan, and I can't manage her. So I had to return at one stage. And it's really weird at that one stage, because even at that one stage, I was going through a lot of loneliness as well, because everybody kind of just like left me, you know. So I was really feeling alone and struggling with this thing. So it was mostly financially that I had to go back. And I went back thinking, okay, I can just make this money, you know, and I'll use it. I went to some scholars, some people of knowledge, and they gave me different understandings. You know, some people say, no, bro, it's haram, just keep, you know. And some say, well, there's a thing called necessity, you know, under your circumstance, do you say it's halal? I say, no, I'm not going to say it's halal. You know, I've never, ever said, in a sense of, you know, when I found out truth, what's halal and what, you know, in this issue. Maybe some of the lyrics are halal, you know, if you break it down in music, because music is a big debate in it with many people. You know, some people it's clear cut, you know, and some people it's not too clear cut. Obviously, you know, environments of these things is definitely not halal. And all this kind of. So I returned back just to try to get financial. And also, I mean, I can't lie. I guess I needed some, I felt very in a lonely place. I wasn't married that time. Yeah.
Was that like something that brought you some form of comfort?
A little bit. I'm not gonna lie. You know, I'm a person. I can't deny. You know, not say I did love it, but sometimes it was. And at that time, really, to go back, it was 25 years of Original Nutter. So it kind of dropped in that time where it was the time to celebrate this 25 years. So we'd done this remix. You know, and the whole scene changed, because when I was in the game, there was more like clubs performance. Now it's become festivals. So it's a daytime thing. You're outside with thousands of people, you know. And I went back, and it was really weird, just like for the year, to try to help my situation. But after a while, I just said, oh no, I'm gonna leave it again, and I left it. I thought I don't really want to be in this really like this. So I left it. So I wasn't in it full time. It was just like in it.
Pop in, pop out.
Yeah, kind of thing. I thought, but you know, I said, Allah, forgive me. I remember making dua many times in places that you'll never imagine people are making dua, you know? Yeah. And I said, right, I'm going to leave it. I don't care what happens now. And that time as I left it as well, my nan
passed.
Yes. You know? So it was another stage, you know? But as my nan was alive, there was an opportunity that came up in the studying for me to go to Egypt. This is when, at the beginning, just when my mum died.
Okay.
Just when mum died and I was looking after my nan, she wasn't too bad at that stage. She, you know, became worse as things moved on. Yeah. And that's what people, you know, look at, it's funny because if you look after a young person, they're going to grow up and they're going to get better at things. If you look at an older person, this is going to get worse. You know, it's not going to get better.
Sure.
Yeah, they're going to just get worse because they go back to babies and you know.
Exactly, it gets harder.
As the saying, once a man, twice a child. Yeah, you know, I don't even know that saying. Maybe you know that saying. It was in a song I learned that saying actually in a Jamaican song. There's many phrases in Jamaican songs that have meanings
and wisdom.
Yeah, to be honest, I don't want to. You know, I'm not here to boost music, but you find it's just the truth. You know, and we have to speak the truth. You know, but may Allah protect us from anything that He doesn't love. But I mean, so yeah, I left it again. But before that, because I managed to get on a scholarship to go to Egypt and study Arabic, which was a dream of mine. Because I was studying Arabic here and there, and I was studying Quran as well. Because when I did give up music, as my mum got ill, and I gave up music, and then for many years I didn't go back to music, looking after my nan. People said, "Why didn't you do nasheeds?" And you know, but I didn't want to do nasheeds. I didn't want to be a nasheed artist. For me, I wanted to learn the Quran. You know. So I started from the beginning, you know, learning the letters, and I had a sheikh to teach me, you know, because that's the best way you can learn the Quran. You need a teacher, you know, alhamdulillah, may Allah bless him, that Sheikh Abdul Qadir. He teaches many people. And also then from there, I'm doing mu'adhin as well in the masjid. So I'm starting to memorize Quran now. And one thing that I remember, I used to go to this class every Friday from this Sheikh Faraz as well. May Allah have mercy on him. He's very, you know Sheikh Faraz? Yeah. So alhamdulillah. He used to do a class every Friday. He returned now because he had a major operation, so he had to leave it for a bit. Of Quran tafsir. So he would start off by letting people read. Yeah. And I was really rubbish at reading, right? So I used to be kind of shy at reading. So he let somebody else who's better read just the eyes. And I think, I really want to read, but I just haven't got the guts. So I thought, you know what? Instead of reading, right, and let me memorize the whole thing. If I memorize the whole Quran, it'd be easy to recite it. You know what I mean? Like I could read it, but it become much more easier. Cool. So that was my mission. And alhamdulillah, I started to memorize Quran, had the Sheikh, managed to go to Egypt on a one-year scholarship to study Arabic. I couldn't finish it because I had to come back because of my grandmother. So what happened, my grandma wasn't too bad then. I would come back every 6 weeks, they give you an exam for the Arabic. And after the exam, you have 2 weeks of holiday. So I would come back to London, check on my nan and go back. But just as I finished, we studied Arabiya to Bain Yaday, So I passed the first book. I was on the second book, and but I couldn't finish it because I had to come back finally, and I couldn't return. By that time, I had a lot of problems as well with the British government and stuff like that, and they were on me.
Okay,
I would get stopped regularly.
For going to Egypt.
For going to Egypt, and I think also for doing dawah, because I'd done a lot of dawah as well. I used to do a dawah table in Tooting, and I was quite loud and quite out there doing what I was doing. So I knew, I'm probably getting monitored, and then I did start getting monitored. And then when I went to Egypt, obviously they're looking at that. They would stop me in Egypt. They stopped me so many times. The Egyptians stopped me. Ridiculously, they stopped me. But alhamdulillah, I had patience. And then coming back as well, I remember when the officer stopped me, he's like, "You're very patient." I was like, there's no point making a hoo-ha. But one time when I was coming back from America, visiting my father, I really realized, because I couldn't go through my passport, never. It always I have to go to the desk. The passport wouldn't work. Like, no. So I just knew I had to go to the desk.
No point in Ghana. Let me just go to the desk.
Well, I tried all the time. So they sent one time, I've come from America, and it was early in the morning, and we arrived early as well. And I was like, alhamdulillah, we arrived early on this crap plane. I was on the British Airways plane, the old school plane. I thinking, at least I came early, and the brother's waiting for me. Come to the thing. The woman's like, "Can you go to the car?" It's me, all right. So I'm at the car, and there's two people in front of me, and there's a black brother, right? Who's sitting at me, and there's two people behind him, right? The officer so I've gone to the car, and he's looked at my passport. He goes, Abdul Wahab. I goes, "Oh, you can read then." He goes, "What?" I goes, "No, you said my name correct." He goes, "Oh," and he calls these two people. I say, "Here we go." So they come up. I said, "Mr. Abdul Wahab?" It's me. Yes. He says, "Well, we need to speak to you." I said, "Why?" What do you mean why? I goes, "Why? Why do you always have to speak to me?" What do you mean? Then he says, "Why? What do you mean why do I always have to speak to you?" Because every time you come to me, you have to stop me. I was tired, and this time I'm thinking, you know what? I'm
having it.
Yeah, up to a point. He goes, "Well, I goes, he goes, we need to speak to you at the back." I said, "No, why? What do you mean you need to speak to me at the back?" I said to him, "If you know who I am, I can expose you on social media." He goes, "Yes, Mr. UK Apache." So when he said that, I said, "This is serious. They've never ever said that to me." I said, "Okay, this is a different level now." Yeah. So he's taking
research.
Yeah. He goes, "We need to do Schedule 7 on you." You know about Schedule 7? I said, "No, tell me." So he's taking me to back. He goes, "Right, we're going to look at your books. We're going to ask you questions. We need your phone." I'm thinking, "Oh my God, what's on my phone?" Like, you're part of groups, WhatsApp groups, and there's always somebody puts something radical on there. And this is the only time I wish I had something that wasn't halal. Because if I don't have, not to say, they'll probably think he's still a player. So, you know what I mean? Yeah. But all of my groups are Islamic, and I'm thinking, oh my word.
We need a Khalifa, all that kind of stuff.
So he's now, and this guy like he's an Asian guy, you know what I mean? Brown
He's
guy.
an Asian guy that's chatting to you.
Yes, he's
you're just
interrogating
thinking
me.
you look-
So he's the he's the clown, and he's the you know how he goes. He's what Malcolm X is, isn't it? About the house Negro. This is the Malcolm X.
Negro in the field.
Yeah, exactly right. Yes, massa, no massa, and he's sitting next to a white guy who's not really saying nothing. So
He's
now
really
they
talking.
now they said to me, "You got a right for a lawyer." Whatever. I've said, this is really serious. This is really serious. Yeah, if you want a lawyer, whatever, but we do have the right to take you down now.
On what basis?
So now he said, right, so are you being involved in any terrorism activities? So what are you talking about? He said, you know, what? Who you give talks? I said, yeah. I said, in fact, you should need to pay me because my talks, as you know, I've done one in a long time ago, are about what Islam really is: peace and goodness and the middle road. You know, it's not blowing up places and doing mad acts of. So people like me, really. So he didn't really like that. So he's like, okay, so who do you listen to? I said, well, I listen to Dr. Zakir Naik. I listen to. He goes, Dr. Zakir Naik. I said, no, he's not. That's your concept of him. You know, what do you talk about? I said, I talk about the you know, my journey in life, and you know, to avoid gangs, to avoid, you know, drugs, to and Islam it was my way of you know, bettering myself, and I believe it's the right way that mankind should live. You know, following the best person who has ever been born, the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and he's questioning me. So, you know, where did you come from? I said, that's stupid. You could see it on the board. He's like, oh, you know, and he's giving me all these questions. He said, right, we're going to look at your phone. I said, yeah, take it. You know, because there's no point. I haven't got time to, you can't take my phone, lock me. I just want to go, you know. So another funny thing, he goes into my bags. And when I went to America that time, I took my books to revise, my Arabic books.
Benedict ones.
Yeah. Because obviously all my family, they speak Arabic fluent. You know?
Now he's seen some Arabic words.
Yeah. So he's opened my books now, and I realized he's read it as well. So this guy's actually, so I said, before that, actually, I said to him, are you Muslim? Because now I'm waking up, right? Because I'm tired, as I'm waking up.
And Indian guy still.
Yeah. It's just me and him warring. He wants to really put me down, you know? He wants to really put me down, you know?
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, we know who you listen to. We know you. I said, what do you mean you know? So if you know, why are you talking to me for? You know, if you're going to be funny like that, you know, and he's giving me all these things, all these questions, and I'm just answering it. And then I said, are you Muslim? He goes, well, my mum was Muslim and that. So I'm thinking in my head, so your mum's committed. Maybe watch this video. No? But I didn't say it, obviously.
Islam, basically.
Allahu alam. So he's like, and the other guy is just really quite nice, actually, you know. But I thought, this guy here, how much they pay you, man? You know what I mean? I mean, you're wasting time with people like me. People like me. And I said to him, you should be paying me. Yeah. He goes, I go, you know, I'm the person that has done a lot of, you know, dawah, right? And talk to the youth, you know, to live a peaceful life. And this is the problem you give me. And he said, well, you still do music? And I said, yeah, I do. You know, because I just want to, I've done this girl song, whatever. I'm just saying these type of things, you know. So he's gone through the book and then he reads from the Arabic. And I realized this guy, because in that book, there's no English.
Yeah.
Oh, this guy knows Arabic as well, but he's kept it, you know. He goes, okay, then, after 3 hours or 2 hours, you can go now. And I left and I thought, wow, that's just the first time that I've really got that interrogation. Because before, they interrogated, but they just talked to me at the airport. They didn't take me to a private room, really, you know. They didn't threaten me about lawyers.
So.
Yeah, but from that, because things happen, you know, because from that I kind of wrote an sheet called Schedule 7. So, and I just threw it out there, you know, from that experience. But I realized these people were on me, and
you just need to be conscious of how you move.
100%. And I kind of fell back a bit after that as well with the dawah, because I was doing a lot of dawah. I was kind of one of the first people to do these kind of, you know, one of the like you find many of them now, mashallah. And there's a good movement in different types. You know, some more intellectual type going that way and some more coming from the road and that kind of thing there. I mean, both have got intelligence in different ways. Yeah. But I was involved in it a lot of time when there wasn't a lot, to be honest, as a sheikh. No, we done the talk years ago. Yeah. I think I was one of the first people to do a certain type of talk because I would do the talk, then I would do nasheed, and then I would end off with the Quran. I don't think nowhere, but yeah, because it's better, you know, trying to guide the youth towards the Quran.
And away from the gang violence and all this kind of stuff.
Well, definitely. So it's just, you know, but as you see, things have gone manic now. I mean, they've just gone to another level now. Well, I mean, so much different fitness now, isn't it? And obviously what's happening in Palestine, may Allah have mercy on them. And, you know, we want this war to stop now. Ceasefire straight away. And look at our governments, you know, how they're responding.
Yeah, well, I think it's a time that just shows everyone for where they really stand in life. That's what this whole war has kind of shown many people, you know, where everyone stands in this whole political arena, if you want to call it that. But to finalize, just because we're running out of time, we usually ask the guests just a final run around of just the most important maybe advice or reminder that you have within you, that for those people who are watching, inshallah, and we finish with that.
SubhanAllah. Yes, we're in a very confusing time. And I think so much people are worried about so much issues. And for me, it's made me come closer to Allah. You know, for me, I think, and well, not to think, I know that the only security is with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So, you know, if you're Muslim, you know, this is definitely the signs of try to build your relationship more with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Do your good works, you know, for good causes, right across the board. Obviously, now you can see the main cause really is about the issue in Palestine. But generally, you know, a Muslim should do good works and build your relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the best form of following the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, to your best ability, knowledge, you know. Try to live a good life, because kullu nafsin dha'iqatul maut thumma ilayna turja'un. Every soul will taste death. And that's the ultimate thing really, that we have, with all the calamities you see, we have the worst calamity coming, Yawm al-Qiyamah, Judgment Day. And the Quran has got the answers to everything. I would recommend anybody, as you see with calamities, Allah always brings light, you know, in so many ways. So much people now have turned to the Quran who are not Muslim, and they've become Muslim that way, or they've got a better insight to Islam. The Quran has the answers to everything. You know, it really does. You know, the ayats of Quran. So I would advise myself, the Muslims, the non-Muslims, read the Quran, try to understand it in its original format. But if you can't read it in English, and there's so much blessing in the Quran, alhamdulillah, it's adhan now, yeah?
No.
Salat al-Isha.
We finished.
Allahu Akbar.
Naam, Jazakumullah, Sheikh.
Barakallahu
You
feek.
know, I really appreciate you coming out and spending time and giving us the history of the music scene.
Yeah.
Basically, you might as well call it that. And where you're up to. And may Allah bless your path, you know, bless you for looking after your mum and her, you know, her mum, and put that in your skills of deeds, which is Jazakumullah khair.
Ameen.
Ameen.
And on everyone else, we'll see you on the next podcast, inshallah. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.